See that right there? That is how you do a Friday the 13th movie.
Wanna give the old teddy bear a kiss?
Welcome to the Dave Cave. I, as always, am Dave. Now, before we get started, stay on top of all things horror and a little bit of heroes, like reviews, rants, rankings, and reactions. Hit that subscribe, ding the bell, so you don't miss a minute. Today, we're pushing right through the Friday the 13th series, this time with the fourth entry, the final chapter. Released in 1984, 2 years after Part 3, the final chapter was directed by Joseph Zito as Kimberly Beck and as Trish Jarvis, Corey Feldman as Tommy Jarvis, which I understand that is a name to know. I'm curious to see what all goes into that. We'll, again, get into that more later. And then also Crispin Glover as Jim. You can probably guess why I wanted to mention him, even though I've been mentioning really only two people in terms of casting. Yes, we're going to talk about him. He's coming. And then the man that gets to have all the fun killing people, Ted White as Jason Voorhees. The final chapter picks up right after Part 3 and actually probably overlays a couple minutes. And then you have the coroners find Jason, presume him dead because he had a fucking axe in his forehead. And then Jason is taken by paramedic to the hospital to be autopsied. And after that, we get our first hints of what I know to become Zombie Jason, because he's not dead. And there's only one way to conclude that he's not dead. He's cursed or he's a zombie. And I'm fine with both of them. Once he gets up after a couple gnarly kills, he starts heading home to just start fucking killing people again. Now, there was a lot that I liked about this movie, so let's not waste another second and get into the good. The very first thing that I liked in this movie, absolutely without a doubt, was the victims. And I say victims as a term of endearment. I don't mean that as they're just cannon fodder, because to me, they didn't really feel as much cannon fodder as they have in the past, and especially not in Part 3. But I like all of them. No one really was a throw-off character. Even the kind of creepy butthole Teddy, I liked him. And that was the difference, is you have this group of friends that they're all just a group of friends. They are legitimately a group of friends. There's not, like I said in the last one, the pot couple, the sex couple. They're all teens that are sex crazed and just going to hang out for the weekend. And that's really all you need to have good chemistry. Everybody's on a level playing field. Sure, there are a couple friends that play off each other. There's for sure the exclusive couple. But nobody felt odd man out at all whatsoever. And especially as the story unfolds, there actually was an unfolding story with the friends. It wasn't just, oh, hey, let's get here, let's get there, let's include the bikers, let's do this, let's do that. There wasn't that. There was actually a story that unfolded within the friends. And then also there's a story that unfolded with my second favorite part of the victims, the Jarvis family. You get some story with them. You get them caring about these characters when they were writing this movie. Again, I know that it's not amazing storytelling, but it was good. I liked the people that were going to die, which then makes it harder to watch them die, because you wonder, when you have these characters that you like, you wonder who's going to make it. Now, I understand that in these movies, generally everybody's going to die. But I questioned it throughout the movie. Who was going to live? Could we possibly get 4 or 5 people that could live through this movie? I didn't know it, so I didn't understand that really everybody does fucking die. But I thought maybe Rob's going to make it. I thought Mommy Jarvis was going to make it. I thought that there could be characters that were going to make it to the end because they make them so likable. And that absolutely lends to the story of the movie. When you have these characters that you want to root for, when you don't want Jason to win, you want the victims to win, that's well done. You want Jason to be the villain. And he is, very much in this movie. The good guys are clearly the good guys. You want as many of them to make it to the end. Now, this next thing that I liked might surprise those of you that have been following this review series. I liked the recap in this one. And I think the reason I liked the recap so much was because it gave you a sense of, we give a shit that this is a Jason movie. We understand that this is Friday the 13th. Jason and his mother, like, there needs to be a grounding in that storyline. It can't just be some random asshole off in the woods. You gave a continuity by having Paul from Part 2 tell that story again. You have the clips throughout Paul's telling of the story to give you kind of a backstory, which, thinking about it more after the fact, it actually gave you hints as to some of the characters that might be in the movie. But you have them showing, okay, we care about the fact that this is a mythology and that this is a story that we are telling about Jason Voorhees, giving him his background and showing that he can be manipulated. Again, that comes in later, and then you have a quick little show of one of the coolest kills in part 2 with Sandra and Jeff, which then that also comes in later. I liked that they used the recap properly. It wasn't just, we're going to hit play. All right, we're going to wait here. We're going to wait here. All right, we played 5 minutes of the last one with slight little bit of editing. Okay, now we're going to continue the movie. No, it was used as part of the film. It mattered. The recap actually mattered, so I didn't mind it, really at all. It was nice. It brought me back into it. It made me excited that they were going to be giving us more of this Jason, which is what I wanted in 3, and holy shit, we got it in 4. Which leads me right into the last big thing I want to talk about, and that is Jason fucking Voorhees. I loved him in this movie. I like that we get hints of what would become zombie Jason. This Jason that is, you can kick him, you can shoot him, you can punch him, you can hack him, and he's just gonna keep coming. You don't get that so much in this one, but you get the idea that he's not just this guy. He was axed in the head, and he gets up and kills people, and then he gets the cut through the hand, but then he uses the hand again. And then you have him get the machete to the face, and he still has it. He gets his ass kicked in this movie, which is okay. And I don't know if this was intentional, but this was the way I read it. When you have Jason in this one, ducking and reaching for Trish and then not wanting to get hit, but then still when he gets hit, he still keeps coming. To me, that said, Jason doesn't understand his own immortality yet. He doesn't understand that he can take these hits and keep coming. He doesn't understand that he will always come back when he is killed, which I understand wasn't exactly the idea because they didn't know that they were going to get into 10 of these films. But for right now, it gave hints of a Jason that won't stop, can't stop, and is just going to keep plowing through whatever you fucking throw at him. And I love that. I like that Jason. I like the crazy-ass Jason that is just going to get shot up and keep walking towards you, that you're not going to stop. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. He looked great. He was still super imposing. You have the continuity with the axe hack and the mask. It was great. I loved it. And the fact that you don't see Jason good for a long time in the film. You don't see him until the shower scene. I mean, you see him a little bit here and there, but you don't get a solid look at him until the shower scene. That was awesome. It was great. They didn't make him a monument in this movie. He was still the guy in the shadows. He was still there, maybe not there. He's going to attack. He's not going to attack. And then he just starts dispatching the shit out of everybody. Absolutely love Jason. Probably the best Jason so far. Now, I know that I usually stick to 3 entries per section, but this is worthy of an additional entry. Highest boob count to date. Quick little honorable mention in the good column. Crispin Glover's sexy-ass moves as Jim. Dude, leave some girls for the rest of us, pal. Now, I could go on for a while about the things I like about this movie, but I gotta try to keep it a level playing field. So we're moving on to a couple of things that didn't land for me. The first thing that stuck out for me that really I wasn't a fan of in this movie is sometimes the lighting was horrific. It didn't happen a lot, but when it did happen, like when Rob and Jason were first having their tussle, you couldn't see what was going on at all. And then all of a sudden they pop out of a shadow, and you're like, oh, that's Jason there. You could assume that Jason was attacking Rob, but the lighting on that was really shitty. And then a little bit after that, you had the lighting really bad when Jason and Trish were kind of facing off in the front room. You have these moments that take you out of it, but it wasn't really that bad. And you're going to get that in this bad section for me. Unfortunately, the bad weren't even really that big a bad. So moving along. Now this next one carries over from part 3 into part 4. And that is the fact that Jason groans in this one again. I didn't like it, but because part 3 prepped me for it and the idea that Jason could groan, I was able to ultimately let it slide. It was okay. I understand that I have this history of a quiet Jason that just kicks all kinds of ass. This is them growing into that identity. As I said before, these things in the bad column for this movie are ultimately petty. They're very small things. I didn't have a lot to go on that I didn't like about this movie. That doesn't mean that for me this movie was perfect. But there was nothing really that stuck out that I was like, oh my God. But you know what? That's a good sign. It's a really good sign. Now that we've gotten that little trip to Negative Town out of the way, let's get back to some joy and some happiness with the kills. Presuming that Mommy Jarvis is dead, we don't actually get a body, but presuming that she's dead, the final chapter is the new body count leader with 13. Get it? Get it? 13? Huh? Huh? I absolutely loved the kills in this film. All of them. Some of them were repeats. Jason really likes to stab through people. But ultimately, they were all awesome and brutal and bloody and great. I loved every single one of them. A couple of them literally had me sitting there just with my jaw dropped. Just, like, holy shit. Some people get their shit split in this movie. It was awesome. I'd say overall that the final chapter has the best kills of the entire series. When you put them up against the last three, easily. But because of that, it has been my hardest decision yet on who gets award for favorite kill of the movie. But for Friday the 13th, the final chapter, favorite kill goes to Axel. The very first kill of the film. He's creepy, but he's an innocent creepy. He's trying to get down. He doesn't get down. And he's just kind of this creepy mortician kind of dude. But the kill, the hacksaw kill, and he doesn't even hack his whole head off. Hacks through his neck and then spins his shit. I was like, oh, okay. Like, damn. These are going to be really good. Like, it immediately got me excited for the rest of the movie. It was a great kill. It was a brutal kill. It was a unique kill. Everything about it, absolutely loved it. Axel, thanks for coming out. And now for some of my final thoughts on the final chapter. If it isn't glaringly obvious by this point, I really liked the final chapter. Had a great Jason, had great kills, had great victims. It felt like Friday the 13th again. It was overall an awesome entry, and which is shocking because it's the fourth one. And to add to that, you have them have the balls to try a couple new things. You have Rob come in, who is on a revenge streak after what happens to his sister Sandra. You'll remember her with the spear through the back of part 2. I like that they had that idea of that kills matter to the outside world, which they would anyway, but you have kills matter to the outside world. And also, I'm a big fan of the idea of the killer being stalked by the victims, the tables being turned kind of thing. It doesn't work out so well for Rob in this one, but I like that idea that Jason could be getting it as much as he gives it. And he kind of does in this one, but it's just not from Rob. And you cannot talk about the final chapter without talking about Tommy Jarvis. Now, I understand that this is a name that I'm going to hear moving forward, but as of right now, this was our introduction to him. I like the idea that he's a really smart kid. He's working on cars. He's making special effects. He is a very well-off kid in terms of what he can do. I like the idea that they then have him emulate a young Jason and mess with Jason's mind. If you look back in my part 2 review, you see that I liked Ginny messing with Jason. I like that they keep that idea that you can. That's like his kryptonite, is talking about him being a kid or his mom. I like that they do that. But then, and I wasn't expecting this at all, but then you have this Tommy Jarvis goes crazy and hacks the shit out of Jason aspect to it. It was cool. I got it. They explained it at the hospital as, he went hysterical, and that's perfectly normal, which I can get behind. But then you have I like that. What was interesting to note is that this was in 1984. They ended it with the possibility of a kid being the killer 4 years before Halloween 4 did it. As someone who grew up not watching Friday the 13th and watching Halloween 4, I always thought, holy shit, this is so cool. This is so revolutionary. But the final chapter did it first. And it was like, holy shit. That was really cool. I understand that they don't go on with that. Same thing with the Halloween series. But I like that they gave you that, hey, yeah, this kid just hacked the shit out of Jason with extreme brutality. He's probably going to murder people. We'll see what happens in part 5, but as of right now, I like that they had the balls to end it that way. Now it's time for my question of the day. We're not asking kills on this one. My question now is, of the first 4, who's your favorite final girl so far? Is it Alice? Is it Ginny? Is it Chris? Is it Trish? Hit the comments, let me know, and give me a reason why. If this review is where you're joining me on the journey through the Friday the 13th series, I've done reviews for 1, 2, and 3. Links to all those will be in the description below. And part 5 is coming on Thursday, so make sure you ding that bell so you get it when it comes out. And while you're down there, I have links to my Instagram and Twitter, both of which are at @thedavecave_. Post over there when I'm not posting here. And that is going to do it for me today. Thank you so much, as always, for stopping by the Dave Cave. I'll see you all on Thursday for part 5. But until then, take care.